Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the family, I want to thank you for being here today as we gather to honor and remember the life of Kathy Sue Williams. We come together not only to grieve her passing, but also to celebrate the love, the memories, and the impact she had on each of our lives, and especially her family, whom she loved dearly. We know her passing came far too soon and in a way none of us expected, which makes today both difficult and sacred. In this space, we hold both our sorrow and gratitude for the gift of her life and for the ways she touched us all. Please stand if you're able and join me in prayer. Let us pray. Loving God, we come before you with heavy hearts, mourning the loss of Kathy. We ask for your comfort to surround her family and her friends, colleagues, students. Help us to find peace in the midst of sorrow, strength in the midst of weakness, and hope in the midst of grief. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You may be seated. A reading from John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, and you also may be where I am. Today, we hold on to that promise. We know that Kathy's life was full of love, laughter, and devotion. She poured herself into her family, friends, fellow teachers, students, and everyone in between, leaving behind memories that will stay with us forever. Her sudden departure reminds us of how fragile life can be, and also how important it is to love deeply, forgive quickly, and live fully. Kathy Sue Williams of Georgetown, Texas, passed away peacefully on September 27th, 2025, holding the hand of her devoted husband, Troy Williams. She was 57 years old. Troy and Kathy were married on August 20th, 1994. Born in Concordia, Kansas, Kathy spent her early childhood in Buena Vista, Colorado, where she embraced the mountain lifestyle with joy. Snowmobiling, skiing, hiking, and jeeping with her family. Kathy enjoyed playing softball and was coached by her mother, Dixie, and her dad, Eldine. Her adventurous spirit and deep compassion were evident from a young age. She later moved to Ord, Nebraska, where she graduated from Ord High School in 1986, excelling as a student and participated in volleyball, basketball, and track, and forming lifelong relationships. Kathy earned her teaching degree from the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, where she worked tirelessly to achieve her dream of becoming an educator. Her dedication and work ethic were unmatched, and she carried that same passion into her career at Deepwood Elementary in Round Rock, Texas, where she taught kindergarten from 1997 until her passing. Kathy was a pillar of the Deepwood community, known for her grace, patience, and unwavering belief in every child's potential. She was honored as Teacher of the Year and will be remembered fondly by numerous colleagues. Kathy's greatest joy was her family. She was a loving and steadfast presence for her husband, Troy, and their sons, Noah and Jordan. They were the center of her world. She called her parents daily, shared laughter and stories with her brother David, and never missed a Boy Scout outing for Noah or a baseball game of Jordan's, especially when the Angelo State Rams won a national championship, or any moment that mattered. Her love was constant, her support unconditional. She is survived by her husband, Troy Williams, sons Noah and Jordan Williams, her future daughter-in-law, Avery, her parents, Eldine and Dixie Maneri, her brother, David Maneri, her mother-in-law, Pat and Dudley Davis, and her father-in-law, Ron and Deborah Williams, her nieces, Isabella and Houston Maneri, other nieces and nephews, and countless students, colleagues, and friends whose lives she touched with kindness and care. Kathy's legacy lives on in her children that she taught, the family she cherished, and the community she helped build. She will be deeply missed and forever remembered. Kathy was more than her earthly roles. She was a source of kindness, strength, and joy. Her smile could brighten the darkest days, and her heart seemed to have room for everyone. Those who knew her best will remember her. Her legacy is carried out in the lives of her children and family, and of each of us who were blessed to know her. I was lucky to have crossed paths and to become friends with Troy and Kathy over Jordan's baseball career. Standing, never sitting, in the stands in all seasons of weather that we get from month to month, day to day, and in some cases, hour to hour in Texas. I read somewhere that the love of baseball is strong, but the love of a baseball mom is stronger. I was lucky to witness that over the years. In fact, I'll never forget our annual senior meal where Kathy and Troy cooked what seemed like enough taco meat to feed the team for the next decade. And due to rain at this dinner, we had to heat the food in the clubhouse where we kept tripping power. So while the Rams were playing, we were in the hitting cages in the clubhouse, Coach Brooks' office, trying to heat pounds and pounds of taco meat. We overcame, and the team would be fed and happy. This is just a small glimpse of the devotion and love for the program, and especially her son, Jordan. And I know that this was how she operated in all aspects of her life. The Ram fam was lucky to know Kathy, and she will never be forgotten. At this time, I'd like to ask a few family members, Noah Williams, if you'll come up to the front to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. My mother's priorities in life were as follows: a lover, a mother, a wife, sister, aunt, educator, friend, and comedian. She juggled her priorities with the utmost love, respect, and honesty. She was a lover that carried her loving spirit with her into the classroom every morning, where she took no days off to educate her community's children. She poured her heart, soul, and patience into every child's young mind. Once the bell rang and every last child made their way home, she too would pack up her school supplies and make her way home, where she would greet her family with her signature loving energy. My mother was a selfless human being, except when she would ditch my dad and I and any other ASU tailgaters to skip the packed lines at Foster Field to catch her son warming up before he took the field, living his dream. She wouldn't miss any ASU game or any event my brother and I were participating in unless a thunderstorm was around. My mother committed her life to others, and she would want nothing more than for all of us to live a happy, loving life. Thank you.
This time I'd like to ask her brother, David Maneri, to the front, please.
Noah, you did good. Earlier in the week, Troy and I were working on Kathy's obituary, and I was emailing Troy back and forth, trying to get something done in the middle of all this. And a couple hours in, I go, I wonder why Troy hasn't emailed me back. We kind of got to get going on this. And so a little bit later, I checked my email, and Troy Williams emailed me back. And he said, hey, I don't think I'm the Troy Williams you're looking for. But Kathy sounded like a wonderful human being. And that's really kind of the way she was. She was just absolutely wonderful. Kathy lived 20,973 days. Or on Gronk, 20,970, so don't trust those people. AI could be wrong. Troy called me early. He'd been trying to call me all night. The phone was right next to my ear, and I never heard it. It's okay, because Troy took care of Kathy. Kathy said almost every day how much Troy took care of her and the boys. I'm so thankful for that. As you can tell, my heart is so sad. I spoke to Kathy almost every day on the phone, almost every day. And I'll never be able to get that back. She talked to my folks literally every day. A lot of the times, a little ridiculous, I will agree, Troy. And my ex-wife would agree with that too, a lot ridiculous. Like I said, we talk nearly every day. I'll talk a little bit about Kathy's childhood because she was born in Concordia, Kansas, like it said, but I'm not sure that Kathy ever went back there. My dad's job took us to just a few different places. But we grew up in Buena Vista, Colorado, which is up in the mountains, and a lot of people from Texas go there because it's kind of a nice place to vacation. And a couple of stories that she graduated. We lived there until she was in the 8th grade, and then we moved to Ord, Nebraska, which is, both of those towns are about 2,000 people. So if any of you have lived in a small town, you know that you don't want to say anything bad about somebody because you're probably talking to their cousin. But growing up in a small town with my folks was just great. Growing up in Buena Vista, we called her Sue the entire time we lived in Buena Vista. She didn't become Kathy until we moved to Ord. And then the whole Sue thing kind of left, But there's a few stories. Kathy and I attended pretty religiously Sunday school, and she was a member of the Pioneer Girls when we were a child. So Kathy knew Jesus. We were there every Sunday and every Wednesday morning. So Kathy was, she had a good foothold on that. Kathy loved snowmobiling, like it said, snowmobiling with our parents. We would, I don't know if you saw in some of these pictures, which is very hard for me to watch, but there was a red 1948 Willys Jeep in that picture. We only had to go about 6 miles, so the Jeep pulled 2 snowmobiles, all of us sitting in the back of this thing, and we would go snowmobiling nearly every week, and my dad would work on these things all week just to get them to run. And then we would go all the way up Cottonwood Pass or sometimes Tin Cup Pass, just that's where we lived. And if anybody's been up there, those are up about 12,000 feet and quite an adventure. She loved hiking. She played softball. She was good at it. My mom and dad, like it said, were her coach. A couple of stories about Kathy, especially in kindergarten. Kathy was one time, both of our kindergarten teachers were the same teacher. It was Mrs. Kearns. Mrs. Kearns, that tells you right there, how important a kindergarten teacher is. We all remember her name. I can see her face, her classroom. I think everybody can remember their teacher. But Kathy was kind of proud and a little bit competitive. They had a jump rope contest one time in kindergarten, and Kathy, a couple little boys did it. They got like a 50 or 100 jumps in. I don't know, maybe a kid got 200, and then Kathy got in there, and she got like 1,200 jumps, and the teacher made her stop. The teacher made her stop. Later, Mrs. Kern tried to enter that in the Guinness Book of World Record, but apparently they didn't take kindergarten stuff. So that bit of fame fleeted her. Also, I learned from a very, very young age that if I wanted to get anything, I needed to go through Kathy. Because I generally just upset my parents when I wanted something, and it was a big fat no. Kathy, we wanted this kitty that Mrs. Kern had. It was a black cat named Fifi. And at age 5, my dad had a recliner. And at age 5, she crawled on his lap. And begged him for 3 hours for that cat. We got it. But she was so, you can see she was a very cute little kid. One time though, a neighbor, she was building a sandcastle out in her backyard. Back in the day, people just played out in the backyard. It was all good, no fences. The neighbor kid came over, and all of a sudden the neighbor kid goes off screaming. Couldn't figure out what's happened. My mom asked Kathy, what happened? And she wouldn't say a word. Pretty soon the neighbor dad called and goes, hey, Kathy bit my son. So my mom obviously went, that is kind of serious. What in the world happened? So both parents got together with both kids, and they're trying to figure out what happened. And it turns out the little boy, Kathy was trying to make sandcastles, and every time she completed it, the little kid destroyed it. So Kathy just took things into her own hands and bit his hand. So, but she's always known that. She's always known, how to protect herself, how to protect her family. Moving to Ord, Nebraska, my dad's job moved us there. She was in 8th grade. She fit right in because in the 8th grade, she was beautiful all through high school and college. In Ord High School, she participated in volleyball, basketball, track, and loved going to the lake. She also played cornet in the band. And one thing about Kathy, before Jordan and Noah, I was Jordan and Noah. Kathy had to go to every event. She wasn't so thrilled as she was to go with Jordan and Noah, but nonetheless she came, and she was there all the time. I'll never forget that. She was in Ord one time, just a little story my parents reminded me of. She came to visit me in college one time in Kearney, and she had a brand new pink coat she was very proud of. So we went to McDonald's. We're walking through the drive-thru. She was walking in, and somebody in a F-150 came up, and they spilled a little ketchup packet over the drive-thru, and it kind of was out there, and it hit the F-150 tire, hit the packet, and it sounded like a shotgun going off. And I turned and I looked at Kathy, and oh my God, it just splattered her with ketchup. And we go, are you hurt? What's going on? She goes, no, but look at this coat. It's just ruined, you know? And she was so upset by that. It's just a story we'll never forget. Kathy attended the University of Nebraska. Actually, during the years, they were actually very good at football. Very good. Dominant. She lived there. Kathy wasn't a gifted student, but she worked her tail off like she did every day at school here. A story about Kathy in Lincoln one time, when she first got there. Our family's pretty close. She was in Lincoln. And remember, this is probably 1988, 89. She was a freshman in college. She was out late at night, and her car ran out of gas on O Street in Lincoln. O Street's the big main street by the college. And so at 11 o'clock at night, my dad got a call from 150 miles away going, you need to get down here. Of course, the call was collect. Everybody remembers that. And my dad's going, I can't. I mean, what are you talking about? And she ran out of gas, panicked, and typical of Kathy, when she got mad, she just slammed the phone down, hung up. Well, that was the only collect call at that place. So we had no idea what happened until she finally got home at the dorm the next day, called and said, all right, I got gas, we're good. But my folks did not sleep that night. Kathy worked at college at a popcorn place called Colby Ridge. She worked there, almost the entire time in college. They made popcorn. They had different stores with, the fancy containers and stuff. But Kathy was actually the main production person there and trained all the managers that worked at Colby Ridge, again, showing her teaching ability. Talk a little bit about her family. Kathy was always present there for Noah and Jordan. I think everybody in this room knows that. Troy, Noah, and Jordan were her entire world. She called my mom and dad daily, but it was always about what's Noah's doing, what's Jordan's doing, all that. After college is when Kathy met Troy. It was in Lincoln, but it was after college. They were married on 8/20/1994, 31 years of marriage. And she often talked about how much she loved Troy and how well Troy treated her. And Troy, I appreciate that. Noah was her firstborn. He was born in Lincoln on 6/4/1997. And they moved shortly after that to Austin. During that time, when Noah was born, they had to work extra hard because Noah was coming. Kathy and Troy delivered newspapers at 2 a.m. Kathy worked at Colby Ridge and at a hospital in Lincoln, getting ready for Noah, because I don't think their health insurance was all that good. So then moved to Austin, later came Jordan, in June of 1999. And I don't know if anybody knows this but at that time, I can't remember what Jordan's weight, but at that time he was the largest baby born in the state of Texas that year. So Kathy had a wonderful time with that. She loved her job. She was named Teacher of the Year. One time, maybe 2 times. Coming home from work, though, Kathy would call, when she'd call me after work, and sometimes it'd be 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And she'd call my dad that same time, and we'd always go, what in the are you still doing there? School got over at 3 o'clock. And she would just be, I think that put a lot of pressure on her, us saying that, but she just wanted to get the job done. She wanted to be prepared for the next day. She would often be in there on the weekends, too. She'd pull up and nobody'd be there, and she'd go, shoot, nobody's here, I gotta go in by myself. She was, as you guys know, Kathy was kind of scared of a few things. She had a couple of phobias. Snakes, for sure snakes. Not so much bugs, but snakes. But she loved her job. After high school and college, we're kind of defined by our work. people know us by our work. And I just want to read what somebody wrote about Kathy's work. I'm so thankful I've been a piece of your community. I know that Kathy was what rooted many of us at Deepwood, holding the history that so many of us lacked. But Kathy taught me that Deepwood is a place that extends its arms for all that see the tiny little school for the huge impact that the children and the teachers inside create. When I spent time in Kathy's classroom, I walked away in awe of her patience and grace that extended to every child, the ones engaged and the ones learning how school goes. She could see the children beyond a moment of frustration for the grown-ups that they would become, remembering that the hard moment a child was in it was not the whole of who they would become. And in the same moment, she also knew that children had big, important ideas to share with the world, to do as young children. They did not have to be grown-ups to have influence in this world. When I think of how I want to carry these lessons from Kathy forward in my own teaching, I want to remember extended grace and big, deep patience, always, because who a child is in a moment is not the whole of who they are. And I always want to offer that Kathy loved her family and her colleagues. Kathy loved being a mom, and she loved her Deepwood family. She was a champion for many children and families, is why this grief feels so heavy. I am thinking of you all through teary eyes and a grateful heart. I know that you are holding each other tightly with care, and Kathy would be proud of how you have rallied together to take care of her legacy. Kathy loved being a baseball mom. Believe me, she loved being a baseball mom. That was her thing. I mean, we all do that to some degree. I was a basketball mom. Dad. Actually, no, a basketball dad. But she loved that. I remember every summer, Kathy and Troy coming to Colorado when the kids were young. And I worked at a big Mexican restaurant that they always liked to come to. And they always had such a good time. I mean, they always had such a good time. They lived with their grandma, and they stayed with their grandma in Evergreen, which is beautiful. Their grandma Pat and Dudley, and it was just a wonderful time. They'd all come into Casa Bonita, and I had to work all the time, so it was just a fun thing. Kathy was so proud when Angelo State won the national championship. She, like I said, she attended every game or watched it on a computer, but she was there most of the time. Every conversation that year was about travel plans, performance, stadium parents, why Jordan was striking out, every conversation. My dad said that Kathy was very easy to raise, and she was. She was just a wonderful person all throughout her life. Kathy also surrounded herself with great friends who you can see around you here today. Absolutely great friends, especially here in Texas. She was truly loved, and even though Kathy loved Colorado and Nebraska, she was a Texan. She loved it. In closing, Kathy, we love you. We miss you. Thank you for everything you gave to us, your smile, your kindness, your strength. We will remember you always, and we'll keep your love alive in the way we live and love each other. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to invite one of Kathy's best friends, Kathy Mead, to the front, please.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, but I have to have my glasses. Help me, girl. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathy Mead, and this is my son, Jacob Mead. My husband, Brian Mead's right there. Kathy Williams was one of my best friends. The Williams family have been our friends for over 20 years. We, like all of you, have shared a lot of wonderful memories. Some of my favorite, fondest memories were when our sons played baseball on the Mavericks and continued on to with the Wings. The game of baseball is such a wonderful sport, not because of the hits or runs scored, but because of the friendships made on the field and in the bleachers. Our team was together so long that we all knew parents, grandparents, siblings, aunts, and uncles. We spent every weekend together for years because of the wonderful game of baseball. We are family. Family is what Kathy is to me. She has been there for me and my family at some really low times, like losing both of my brothers. She has been there with me through joyous times. Boy, did we have fun. We liked to get together as often as we could. Nancy, Kathy, and I would meet at this little spot close to us, and we'd have a margarita or a cold beer and catch up on life. In our minds, we were solving the world's problems. Ha ha. Kathy and Troy have no idea of how much joy and gut-wrenching laughter they brought to us. There wasn't anything we couldn't talk about, and we shared our feelings towards family. Troy, Noah, and Jordan. She loved you more than words could ever say. She was so proud of her sons, and she was very excited about the future as both of her boys had met wonderful women that she adored. Avery and Juliana, thank you for your steadfast love for her sons and her family. I know your comfort has helped the Williams men try to handle this. To Kathy's parents and her brother Dave, she loved you and she missed you every day. She would fill us in on how y'all were doing every time we got together. She would talk about her time growing up in Colorado and driving in the Jeep Wagoneer. She would describe it so well, I thought I was in the seat right next to her. To Troy's parents, Kathy loved visiting you in Fredericksburg, and she was so concerned about you when the horrific floods hit Kerrville. A lot of times people don't get along with their in-laws, but that sure wasn't the case here. She loved you. Kathy's sense of humor and deep compassion to her family, her friends, and her students made everyone feel valued and loved. I think I can speak for everyone here that we are better people for knowing Kathy Williams. My heart is filled with hurt, but eventually that will fade and be replaced with love and memories of my dear friend. I would like to close by reading a poem I found, and I believe it fits. You do it. Please.
We think about you always. We talk about you still. You've never been forgotten, and you never will. We hold deep within our hearts, and there you will remain to walk and guide us through our lives until we meet again. We love you, Kathy.
Thank you.
At this time, the family invites anyone who wishes to share a memory or a few words about Kathy to please come to the front and do so.
My name is Gene Stokes. I was principal at Deepwood when Kathy came and joined us. I had the honor of serving many wonderful teachers. I count her near the top of the list. Kathy was a wonderful, wonderful woman. I will miss her, as will you.
Are there others? A reading from John chapter 11, verses 25 through 26. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. As we prepare to say our final goodbyes, let us carry Kathy's spirit with us. May her love continue to guide us. May her laughter echo in our hearts. And may her memory remind us to cherish every day we are given. Though our hearts are heavy today, we hold on to the hope of reunion, and we give thanks for the beautiful life she lived. We love you, Kathy. I'd like to invite Noah and Jordan to the front, please.
I don't have too much I don't think I can really say right now. Everybody here, she loves you guys. We're hurting, but we know we have all you guys, and she's looking right now, smiling at all you guys. We just wanted to come up here and, on behalf of family, say thank you guys for coming. Means a lot to us, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate you all. Thank you.
Following this service, the family invites all attendees to a reception in Round Rock. Is that correct, Round Rock? At Capital Bearing and Hydraulics. So following this dismissal, we'll gather in Round Rock to get together and fellowship. Thank you all for coming. God bless you.